The following program is sponsored by CBN.
Coming up, unlikely heroes.
I'm here with Israel.
On the front lines of a humanitarian crisis.
When I start shouting, "Min baddu doctor," who need a doctor in Arabic.
Refugees arriving in Europe.
Most of them, they had nothing.
Are running straight into the arms of Israelis.
Being able to give a hand, give a hug, that's a privilege.
Their stories of life.
This is my job and this is what I should be doing.
On today's 700 Club.
Well, welcome to this edition of the 700 Club. In case you missed it, it's tax day, the deadline to file those complicated forms. President Trump is promising that taxes will be much easier to deal with in the future because of Republican tax reform law.
Well, the president also said the law is strengthening the economy and helping businesses. Charlene Aaron has the story.
Speaking to a group of Hispanics in Florida one day before the tax return filing deadline, the president promised that once the new tax law is fully implemented, filing a federal return in the future will be a lot less complicated.
And remember this is the last time you're going to fill up that long, complicated, horrible return. Next year, it's going to be a simple, for the most part, one page. It may get a little bit bigger, but it'll be simple and easy to do. And very importantly, you're going to have a lot of money left over from what you have.
And he says the new tax law also provided a big boost to American businesses by cutting their tax rates.
They were the highest in the world from a business standpoint. That's why businesses were leaving. Now, they're not the lowest, but they're on the low side, and businesses are pouring back into the United States, and that means jobs.
Republicans are planning to use the tax cuts during this fall's midterm elections. According to USA Today, GOP candidates have run nearly 18,000 ads highlighting the tax reform. Democrats are still criticizing the tax law as a giveaway to the rich, and the president warns against electing Democrats, saying they want to repeal the GOP's tax plan.
And let me tell you, if for any reason they get in, meaning the Democrats, they're going to raise your taxes way up high, they're going to terminate this out, of course I'll veto it.
And the president also promoted the tax cut law in an editorial in today's USA Today, saying on this tax day, America is strong and roaring back. Paychecks are climbing. Tax rates are going down. Businesses are investing in our great country. And most important, the American people are winning. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, it's a great move for the taxpayers of America to get it down. I remember talking to the head of the Ways and Means Committee. He said, I want to get the thing on a postcard. You can fill out a postcard and send it in. That's where we'll go. Well, in other news, President Trump's personal attorney lost a key decision in federal court. Judge Kimball Woods ruled that, well, here's John Jessup with that story.
Well, Pat, a federal judge rejected a move by Michael Cohen and President Trump to prevent federal prosecutors from going through the materials the FBI seized from Cohen last week. Cohen's lawyers had asked for a temporary restraining order so they could review the information themselves and then turn over the material that wasn't privileged. President Trump's allies reportedly are concerned about Cohen's seized materials because they don't know what's in them. And some are worried that Cohen might strike a deal with prosecutors to protect himself. The judge also forced Cohen to reveal Monday that one of his clients is TV and radio host Sean Hannity. But Hannity said that he never paid Cohen for any services, adding he only had brief discussions with him about legal questions. Well, the American pastor on trial for his faith in Turkey is being sent back to prison as his trial continues on May 7th. Pastor Andrew Brunson pleaded his case before a judge Monday. After hours of witness testimony, the judge refused to free the 50-year-old evangelical preacher. Instead, he's being sent to an even worse prison, notorious for its harsh conditions. Brunson stands accused of playing a role in Turkey's 2016 attempted coup and for committing acts of terror by spreading the gospel. Sam Brownback, the U.S. ambassador at large for international religious freedom, was at the hearing. He told reporters the U.S. won't stop fighting for the pastor's freedom.
The administration is deeply concerned about this case. We completely believe factually he is innocent. Andrew Brunson is innocent. We're hopeful that the judicial system will find that he will be released and released soon.
Jay Sekulow, of the American Center for Law and Justice, called the judge's action, quote, disturbing. More than 500,000 people have signed the ACLJ's petition calling for Brunson's release, and you can find a link to that petition on cbnnews.com. And Pat, Brunson's attorney said he faces 35 years in prison for charges that are totally unfounded.
This is, the Wall Street Journal's got a little thing about he's Erdogan's prisoner. The whole thing is a put-up job, and Turkey is supposed to be an honored part of our NATO alliance. But Erdogan is setting up a Muslim dictatorship. He wants to have sole rule, and he's talking about some cleric in Pennsylvania that he claims is fomenting a rebellion against him, which is just utterly nonsense. And we're not going to extradite that guy to Turkey. No way. But the thing is, we've got to get tough with Turkey. I mean, we can't have this going on. And they're no longer a valuable part of our alliance against Russia. You don't know where they're going, but you look at biblical prophecy, I'll tell you where they're going. It's not favorable to the cause of freedom. But nevertheless, it's time we get tough with him. And, a lot of times you say, well, it's terrible, isn't that awful? And we deplore his action, and you go through all that rhetoric, and it doesn't move the needle one iota. But then you start laying sanctions on them, and you start taking away trade benefits, and you start putting some of their rich people in jail. And the next thing you know, they say, okay, we'll behave. We hope that's going to be the case. John?
Well, Pat, a trial begins today for an Oregon judge who believes that this case is actually centers on the exercise of Christian beliefs. Jennifer Wishon talked to the judge about his day in court, where he expects God to shine.
Today, Judge Vance Day will enter the Oregon courtroom where he used to preside. But instead of sitting on the bench, he'll take a seat in the criminal defendant's chair. He's charged with aiding and abetting a felon in possession of a firearm. But Judge Day believes he's being targeted because of his unwillingness to perform gay marriages.
I think this whole ordeal started when I made my original decision to quietly recuse myself from same-sex marriage. In Oregon, it's not a requirement that a circuit court judge marry anybody. But when the law changed, I had a decision to make. And that decision was to gently, quietly recuse myself. And that eventually started a bit of a firestorm.
A firestorm that's lasted more than 3.5 years and racked up legal bills just shy of $1 million. The state of Oregon is trying to prove Day helped a disabled Navy SEAL in his Veterans Court possess a firearm, a charge Day says is punishment for his biblical views on marriage.
In the dead of winter, his only source of heat, which was a pellet stove, failed. So our team talked about it, and I'm a handy guy, so I said my son is going to be heading out there that weekend because my son had a relationship with him and was helping him get to various appointments because he lived far out and didn't have a driver's license because he was sentenced for a DUI. So we went out there on a Sunday, brought him some food, and I went to work on the pellet stove. And most folks who may be familiar with the story understand that my son, unbeknownst to me, went out to his truck and got a handgun that he wanted to show the Navy SEAL. So the Navy SEAL picked it up, and he's a felon, so he shouldn't have been handling that gun, and I was in the room. And that's how I got charged with aiding and abetting a felon in possession of a firearm.
He encourages all Americans to stand up whenever government challenges their liberty of conscience.
When we have his perspective, a trial is an opportunity to walk with him and watch him show up in glory and majesty. And I don't want to miss that.
Judge Day expects his jury trial to last at least 2 weeks. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Thanks, Jennifer. Pat, he seems pretty confident about his trial.
Well, we hope so, but isn't this an outrage? A judge tries to help a disabled American veteran, a former Navy SEAL, tried to give him a hand, fix up his pellet stove. I mean, and the next thing you know, they charge the judge with aiding, abetting a felon in relation to a firearm. That is utter nonsense. Doesn't it make you sick? You know, we want to uphold the rule of law. We really want that to be the case. But they've got to stop the nonsense that goes on in these courtrooms. And I've seen some things that will turn your stomach. And I've seen rulings that are just outrageous, and we look at all the time. And what we have seen over the last decades is court-run or judge-run legal system that perverts the Constitution and takes away the freedom of religion that most people would like to enjoy. And now we're seeing the FBI doing their thing, and it's kind of sickening to see this former head of the FBI ranting and raving around the country on his book tour. But in any event, this is a great country, and we'll survive all of it. But I think you should pray for that judge, and you should pray for others who are under persecution here in this great land of ours. Well, we've been talking to you, you know, about asteroids, and it seems like to me the thing that will fulfill biblical prophecy, and there is some very strong biblical prophecy. I wrote a book called The End of the Age, which is rather popular, but it dealt with an asteroid hitting the Earth. Well, John has a story about one that took place on Sunday.
That's right, Pat. An asteroid flew close to the Earth Sunday, only about 120,000 miles away. That's about half the distance to the moon. It passed by less than 24 hours after it was first spotted. Many astronomers, many asteroids can be very difficult to track, so astronomers called this one a surprise flyby. The space rock was about the size of a football field, far larger than the object that blew up over Russia in February 2013. NASA says those as big as the one that flew by on Sunday don't happen very often. They approach the Earth maybe once or twice a year. Pat?
Well, you wonder what happened to the dinosaurs. Well, apparently it was an asteroid strike that killed them. So they call these things extinctors, and they have the power. You know, the one in my book was 0.6 of a mile. I don't know about a football field. What's 100 yards or something?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
100 yards.
100
right.
yards. But that's how big that one was. Mine was half a mile, and it did an amazing amount of damage. The one that killed the dinosaurs was probably a lot bigger than that. It left a big hole. You go down to the Caribbean, and there's this great hole that was caused by that particular asteroid. But they've been hitting this planet for hundreds and hundreds of millions of years. And we're very grateful for Jupiter, because Jupiter's there that sucks these things, you know, away from the orbit of the sun and pulls them into its orbit rather than letting it go to Earth. But anyhow,
interesting.
It is interesting.
May Jupiter never nap.
Well, it's something that we cannot, I mean, this one nobody really saw. The thing that, Terry, that you see what Jesus said, except those days would be shortened, there'll be no flesh living on the earth. That's what Jesus said. And the only thing that'll do that, you've either got Yellowstone blowing up and sending an ash cloud all over the earth, or you've got one of these asteroids hitting, and that would fulfill what he had to say.
Yeah, this one just seemed like it got kind of close. Yeah. Well, it's called Aliyah, and it means going up.
I'm Sarah from France.
Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm from Cordoba, Argentina.
Hi, my name is Gotti from Brooklyn, New York, and I made Aliyah in December.
Scott Ross explores what inspires Jews to make Aliyah after this.
Well, you're watching the 700 Club, and I want to tell you how happy I am to have you as part of our audience. Thank you for being with us, and we hope we are not disappointed, because we've got some great things left to come on this show. Well, there are only about 600,000 Jews living in Palestine. when Israel became a nation in 1948. The new country needed citizens in order to survive and grow. But where would those citizens come from? CBN's Scott Ross takes a look at what happened then and what's still going on today.
They come from all over the world to a place many have never been. Yet the Jewish people have longed to return to this land for thousands of years.
I'm Sarah from France.
Hi, I'm Dylan from Uruguay. I did Aliyah in December. I'm here because I love Israel.
Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm from Córdoba, Argentina.
I'm Nikita from Russia.
Hi, my name is Gadi. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I made Aliyah in December. I'm a lawyer in New York, and I'm here because it's the only Jewish state there is.
It's called Aliyah, literally going up. Taken from biblical times, the term describes when people went up to Jerusalem to worship at the temple. Now it means immigrating or returning to Israel.
You're an American.
Yep.
Why did you come?
It's a beautiful country. I love it here.
Yeah, Arizona's beautiful.
Arizona is beautiful, but it's not Israel.
Last year, 27,000 new immigrants arrived in Israel, including 3,600 from the United States.
For almost 3,000 years, we were disconnected, but we were praying for Jerusalem. So it's really a gathering of exiles, and it continues every day.
I spoke with Natan Sharansky, leader of the Jewish Agency, which oversees bringing the Jewish people home.
I am very proud to be the head of the organization now, which brought 3.5 million Jews from the creation of the State of Israel.
Sharansky made headlines in the 80s as a political prisoner in the former Soviet Union. International pressure led to his release, and he immigrated to Israel in 1986.
I meet with a lot of new immigrants, and I love to be in the airport and to see this moment of them going down from the airplane, because you think that after each of these people, there are at least 50 generations of Jews who are praying and dreaming about coming to Jerusalem. And each of them is closing a huge circle of 1,000 years of exile.
Biblical prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel all spoke of a time when God would bring the Jewish people back to the land of Israel. The prophet Amos says they'll never be dispersed again. Although they're part of a prophetic and exciting journey, immigrants face a whole new world when they arrive.
Some of the people left everything. Left the friends, left families, left the smell, the food, the jobs, all the things that they knew, they're coming here and they start a new life.
That's why the state works to create a smooth transition. Ziva Avrahami leads Beit Canada, Opan Etzion, an absorption center in Jerusalem. New immigrants live here free for 5 months so they can focus on learning Hebrew and living in Israel.
We called him the first home in the homeland. They're coming here and they have like a soft landing. They don't need to be afraid from things. We help them to be part of Israel, but step by step.
How important is it that they learn Hebrew?
The main reason that the people are here in this absorption center is to get to know the language. The Hebrew is the key to the Israeli society. If you want to be part of Israel, if you want to be the leader of this beautiful country, you need to know the language.
Opan Etzion is mainly for millennials who have a university degree. You could say it's like a prophetic melting pot.
Are there conflicts between them, culturally, socially, adapting and adjusting to one another?
Yes. There are different people for different places. The culture is different. The language is different. So to put together 250 young adults in one place, you can imagine what's going here in the evenings. A lot of people are becoming friends for life.
Do the majority of them then stay in Israel?
The first year and the second year are the hardest one. And if you survive the 2 years, people are staying in Israel. This is going to be their home.
I spoke with some of the students about their experiences.
I think it's the land of the Jewish people, and that is why I'm here. I want to essentially come home and to be with my fellow Jews and to please God find a Jewish husband.
Why did you come?
Well, I came to Israel because I feel this is the homeland of the Jewish people, and for the first time in 2,000 years, we have our own homeland, and we can build a prosperous Jewish state, and I think that's very exciting to be a part of.
What kind of work would you like to get into?
I studied accounting and finance, so hopefully something in that area.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm here in Israel. There's plenty of beautiful Jewish girls, and let's hope I can find one of them.
As Sharansky prepares to leave his role, I asked if he thought all the Jewish people need to come home.
Our prophets speak about it very clearly, about this grand design of ingathering of the people of Israel in the land of Israel. And I want to help the people to make this decision not by giving orders, not by pushing them, even not by shaming them, but simply by giving them the feeling how good it is.
Scott Ross for CBN in Jerusalem.
Interesting, and we had the gentleman from the Jewish agency that was responsible for bringing so many Jews to Israel, and he brought greetings from Natan Sharansky, who, if you can remember, was a prisoner of conscience, and it was amazing that he was released from prison in the Soviet Union because he was a noted, refusenik, I think they used the term. But anyhow, he's got quite a career as head of the Jewish agency. Well, good for them.
You've seen prophecy fulfilling.
It's happening. Amen.
Well, coming up, we're going to take you to the Island of Tears, where scores of Syrian refugees arrive on the shores of Greece. And the last people they expect are waiting there to rescue them.
It's like 1, 2, 3, it begins, you know. It's a few minutes of chaos. Taking off the babies, people screaming, shouting, helping them, you know. A lot of them don't know how to swim, they're afraid from the water.
See who these volunteers are and hear how they're saving lives when we come back. It's one of the biggest humanitarian disasters in recent history. Boatloads of refugees arriving on the shores of Greece, hoping to find a new start in Europe. And when they arrive, some of the first people they meet are doctors and rescue teams from Israel.
On March the 15th, 2011, Syrian protesters marched on Damascus, demanding democratic reforms from President Bashar al-Assad. Assad's government responded with a violent crackdown. And what began as a peaceful uprising turned into a full-scale civil war, creating the worst humanitarian crisis of the 21st century. Today, much of Syria lies in ruins, and more than half the country's population, 11 million people, have been killed or displaced. Since 2011, hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees have arrived on the Greek island of Lesbos, hoping to find a new start in Europe.
We see babies which are only a few days old people at the age of 90, 95 even. And we get mainly people from Syria, also from Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran.
Waiting to help them are the last people the Syrians might expect, volunteers from Israel.
My name is Tali Shaltiel. I'm here with Israel, an Israeli-based NGO.
My name is Majida Kardosh. I'm here as a medical team. I work as a nurse.
My name is Iris Adler. I live in Tel Aviv.
I just finished med school in Tel Aviv University. I came here through Israel to be on the coast as a doctor, as a member of the medical team of Israel here in Lesbos.
My name is Manal Shhadi. I'm from Nazareth, and I'm the team lead of Israel in Greece.
The team is a mix of doctors and nurses, both Jewish and Arab.
I am a Palestinian citizen of Israel. Arabic is my mother tongue. I'm also Christian, so I'm a minority inside of a minority inside of Israel. Being aware of my history, my background, where I come from, the history that my people went through, this is something that appeals to me, and I can help refugees. So this is my job, and this is what I should be doing.
Our job here is to receive the boats of the refugees that are coming from the Turkish side to the Greek side. There are many, many volunteers on the beach, not many medical teams. So our job is, first of all, to help them get out from the boat, get to the beach safely. Most of them come here dehydrated and in hypothermia. Sometimes the journey takes many hours, and they get here very wet and cold.
On the line from the Turkish side, they're going through a lot of problems. Their smugglers there are asking them to pay between $1,000 to $5,000 per person. A lot of time they're just shoving them into boats that should fit 50 people, but there are 150 people on the boat. They just leave them midway through the sea and they tell them, you find your own way to Greece, we're not responsible on you. Or they fill like half a tank of gas and they just leave them in the middle of the sea.
What we do is go to Hind Point with binoculars, searching and scanning the water, and you start looking for this black with orange dots in the view. And then it comes nearer and you start seeing the rubber boat and all the people on it. It's like 1, 2, 3, it begins. It's a few minutes of chaos. Taking off the babies, people screaming, shouting, helping them, you know. A lot of them don't know how to swim, they're afraid from the water.
Here is the point that we start doing a triage, a very fast, you know, by hearing, they're talking, looking at the refugees, so we can see who is in need of medical help. And I start shouting, "Min baddu doctor," who need a doctor in Arabic. And so this is the time that we start giving treatment.
I've treated a 14-year-old Afghani guy that was unconscious. If he didn't receive aggressive treatment on the shore, on the spot, he might have not made it.
After that, we start giving them food and water, warm clothes, something to eat, to drink, because some of them didn't have any water or food for like 1 or 2 days. After that, I take the map. We have a map that we translate on it in Arabic, explain to them what is the next step. You know, they don't know where they are, okay? So the first thing that I tell them that they are in Lesbos Island in Greece, because some of them, they had like no idea where they are. Most of them, they had nothing. They just come with their clothes only because they had to throw their bags in the sea, or smugglers took their bags and threw in the sea.
After a couple of days of assessing the field, we understood that the biggest need is a way to communicate with the refugees who come. So we brought a team from Israel, which is Arab-speaking, and the effect was amazing.
Hearing your language is very important to them, and then getting the instructions where to go, what to do next, what are the next steps, because they have a lot of uncertainty.
Although Israel and Syria are technically at war, none of that matters here on the beach.
Usually when they get to the beach, they're just happy to see people waiting for them, giving them help and food and clothes and medical treatment if they need. Sometimes they realize who we are and they're just happy to see us, and they hug us and kiss us, and it's very exciting.
We get lovely, warming reactions of hugs and, you know, men kissing me like I'm their daughter, you know, on the forehead, saying thank you, saying that I would never have thought that I'm going to receive treatment from an Israeli doctor, or share my story with an Israeli who will empathize with what I've been through. This guy, he had, I think, a sprained ankle, and he put some bandage, and I wanted to take out of my bag some medicine to ease the pain, a painkiller. And while I'm looking in my bag, this guy asked Majda in Arabic, where am I from? Like, where is she from? Where is she from? And she was telling to him, what does it matter? You need help now. She's here to give it to you. Why are you focusing on that? And we continued with our work and whatever we were doing at the time. And a few minutes afterwards, he comes to me with a package of biscuits that he brought from Turkey for the journey. You know, giving me something from the nothing that he have and apologizing for not respecting me or questioning me. And, you know, just giving me, you know, a thanks for being there.
Israel is an unpolitical organization. What they do is help people in a disaster situation. And this is what I'm doing. And this is what they teach me at nursing school, to treat a human, no matter what he is, which religions he have, which color he is, what language he talks.
To see a 60-year-old Arab man burst into tears on the shore, something that you don't see every day. So being able to give a hand, give a hug, give water, medical treatment, yeah, it's a privilege.
Offshore, Isra Aid doctors provide trauma counseling for families in refugee camps.
We start with the communication thing, talking Arabic, or put only hand on his or her shoulder, try to make them feel better, you know, as much as we can.
In my country, in Syria, it's coming very hard and there is no future for anyone. Yesterday, I have coming here with a plastic boat. I will say that they are amazing people, and I'm really thanks everyone working with these people. They are really helping us and helping a lot of families here and children.
Because we come from a country that a lot of people suffer trauma because of the conflict and what's happening, so we have a lot of experience how to deal with trauma, how to deal with the conflict. And this is the knowledge that we need to pass to other people, to other countries, if we can help make their suffering less, or to help support them, or to show them a different way. And I think this is our duty.
These people come and they automatically get this title. They are refugees fleeing to Europe. And they're treated and looked as refugees when they're human beings, as me and you. And for me, when I meet those people, this is what I'm trying to give them, that feeling that I respect them, I feel them, I connect to them in the most human level. I'm not above them or same, it's this, now they're on that side of the coin, tomorrow it might be me and I will need their help. I was thinking about that 60 years ago, it was the Jewish people in Europe during the Holocaust, after the Holocaust, making their journey to Israel or for different countries and seeking for a safe home. We're always saying, never again. When you see something difficult, for me, it's looking at my part. What's my responsibility? This is what we try to do, you know. We're coming as humans, meeting other human beings, and this is how change starts, little.
I think that helping other people is a very important thing in the Jewish tradition. We can't just sit back and watch what's going on. We have to come and do the best we can, and even if we touched a few people's life, I think that's a lot.
So many don't understand the incredible ways that Israel touches lives around the world. To support Israel and celebrate its 70th anniversary, CBN has released a new documentary on DVD called To Life: How Israeli Volunteers Are Changing the World. To Life tells the story of 5 amazing Israeli organizations that are transforming lives across the globe. This is your opportunity to stand with Israel and bless God's chosen people. Call now to receive your DVD of To Life. It's our thank you for your gift of $10 or more. Just call our toll-free number. It's 1-800-700-7000, or you can go to cbn.com. You can share this DVD with friends, family. Help us spread the true story of Israel's heroism and help to the nations. We want you to have your own copy. We'll be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.
Go to facebook.com/CBN Online for trivia and your chance to win a To Life the Movie t-shirt.
And welcome back to the 700 Club. ISIS terrorists gunned down churchgoers in Pakistan Sunday. 3 gunmen on 2 motorcycles opened fire as the Christians were leaving church. Eyewitnesses said they heard the terrorists shout Allahu Akbar as they sped away. 2 19-year-old men were killed. 3 others were injured, including a 9-year-old girl. One Christian leader warns Pakistan has never been more dangerous for non-Muslims than it is now, and ISIS is apparently targeting Christians specifically. Back here at home, this Philadelphia Starbucks shut down Monday. Protesters gathered at the location outraged over the arrest of 2 black men last week. One of the men asked to use the restroom but was denied because he hadn't purchased anything. When he refused to make a purchase, a manager called 911. The men said they were waiting for someone. Their friend, a white man, arrived while they were being arrested for trespassing. The incident was caught on video and has gone viral. The CEO of Starbucks says he is committed to making sure this never happens again. Remember, you can always get the latest from CBN News by visiting our website at cbnnews.com. We'll be back with much more of today's 700 Club coming up right after this.
Ramian Parsa remembers beating himself with chains as a child who tried to gain favor from a God he called Allah. His life was filled with religious rituals and a futile attempt to earn points to go to heaven. But as a young man, Ramian began to question his Muslim faith. And that line of thought took him on a very treacherous journey. Watch this.
Ramin Parsa grew up in a devout Shiite Muslim family in Iran. His parents instilled in him and his 9 siblings the teaching of Islam and Sharia law.
Well, the teaching of Islam, they were very important for me because they told us by keeping those laws, you will get points, you earn points to go to heaven. So we had to keep those laws, like fasting during Ramadan, praying 5 times a day, and giving 1/5 of your income or whatever you have. And I remember as a child, we go in the streets and then we beat ourselves and with chains and trying to please Allah.
He hoped his faithfulness could earn him a place in heaven, but he wasn't sure of it.
Every time we prayed for something, in fact, when we prayed for something to happen, the opposite happened. The worst thing happened. And my question was why? Because I was diligent in my quest and in my obedience, but then it seemed like Allah is not answering and hearing our prayers. God, to me, he seemed like a distant tyrant. I couldn't say that as a Muslim, but it seemed like he was ready to punish us all the time. But he was distant in helping us.
At 16, Ramin was riding with friends to a wedding when Sharia police pulled them over.
In Iran, according to Sharia law, alcohol is illegal. And so we were going to this wedding. The people who gave me a ride, they had some alcohol. They took us to this confinement and they took all our clothes off, bare naked. And then they poured cold water on us and then they began to beat us with a slash without even asking, without even proving that I had drunk. I hadn't. And so That was the first time that I started questioning, because I was being beaten in the name of Allah, in the name of Islam.
2 years had passed when his father died suddenly of a heart attack. Privately, Ramin began to question Islam and the meaning of his own life.
So pain after pain, the pain of being arrested and beaten unjustly for something I hadn't done. And when my father passed away, it was a really a big pain in my heart.
At 18 years old, Ramin was depressed and seeking isolation. He moved out of his family's home into his own place.
I felt that life is meaningless, and I didn't want to continue it. And I said, why we live 80, 90 years, we work so hard, we go to school, we get married, we find a job, we work hard again, and then we have children, and then you die. And again, you have to endure so much persecution, oppression, and injustice. So there was no reason to do that. And I said, if death is the end, why not now? But I was afraid to do that because I didn't know where I'm going to go after I die. So I didn't want to live, and at the same time, I didn't want to die.
A year later, Ramin was watching satellite television when he heard a message from a Christian program.
In Iran, to have a satellite dish is illegal, but everybody has one. In the midst of my depression and hopelessness, I came across his channel, and this guy was talking about Jesus, that he is the Son of God, that he died for me on the cross, he rose from the dead, and he loves me. I didn't believe it at the moment. I rejected the whole thing, but still, I felt something happened to my heart. I felt that something was telling me that this is truth.
Over the next week, Ramin sank deeper into depression. Once again, he was watching TV when he heard the same, now familiar message.
And I felt that maybe God is trying to reach out to me. I felt like somebody's trying to talk to me. I had nothing to lose. And that's the time that I opened my heart to Jesus. And I was going to try him and ask him to come into my heart. Because the person that was talking about Jesus said, if you do that, your life is going to be changed. And he gives you hope, he gives you life, eternal life. And something that as a Muslim, I used to work for so hard to earn salvation, to earn basically righteousness, to be right with God through the things I was doing. But I heard that this is free. By faith in Jesus, I can be right with God. When I said, Jesus, today, I hear that you were truly the Son of God. You died for me on the cross. You rose from the dead. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it's true, I ask you to come into my heart, be my Lord, be my Savior, forgive me of my sins, give me a new life. And when I said that, a heat went through my hand, a warmth. It went throughout all my body. I was shaking and trembling, and I began to speak with tongues and a language that I'd never heard of. I was feeling joy and satisfied and hope. And first time I prayed to Jesus, and I called on his name, and he answered me. That's when I realized he is a true living God.
In Iran, the Bible is illegal and Christian websites are censored by the government. After 3 months of searching for a way to read God's Word, Ramin found a way to break through the internet blockage, finally gaining access to the Holy Bible.
So the gospel, when I read it, it was the message of resurrection and healing and victory over death.
He shared the salvation prayer with his mother, who was also now a Christian. In 2007, he was accepted as a UN refugee to the United States. Ramin is the pastor of the Good Shepherd Church in Los Angeles, California. He teaches the Bible to people all over the world through his online church at raminparsa.org. He shares more about his journey from Islam to Christianity in his book, From Ashes to Glory.
I feel fulfilled to spread the gospel, and not that I'm doing that to earn salvation or go to heaven, because I love the Lord, because he has called me, because I know this is a solution for man's pain. If you genuinely and honestly ask Jesus to show you, he will show you the truth.
Can you imagine seeking to please God, to do everything that you can think of, including beating yourself with chains, crying out to Allah, and yet being afraid of him, not having any comfort? That's Ramin, but there's so many millions of people like him who are sincere. We run into a whole lot of people in America who couldn't care less. They're not seeking God. They want to have pleasure, and they don't care. They don't want to be involved. But here's a man who really sincerely wanted God. And some of you say, I sincerely want to know God. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to displease the one who made me, my creator. And I want to do what's right. Well, what does the Bible say? It's not by works of righteousness which we have done that saved us. It's not what his righteous things that we have done. It is what Jesus did on the cross. There's no way that you can add to that, subtract from it. It's the eternal truth. He is God. The God who made you, who made this world. And he says, heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What's the place you're going to build for me, seeing my hand has made it all? God has made it all. And Ramin did the right thing. He began to find out through the Bible that there was one who died for him. You see, God became flesh. He became a human being that he might live before us and show us the way to heaven, the way to salvation. That's what Jesus said. I'm the way and the truth. I'm the life. Nobody comes to the Father but by me. He is the way. So if you want to know God, you don't have to work at it. You don't have to beat yourself. You don't have to crawl on your knees up the holy stairs. You don't have to do any of those things. What you have to do is say, I believe you, Lord. I receive the grace that is freely given, God's unmerited favor. And if you want that, all you have to do is say yes. So I would ask you now, pray this prayer with me and don't be afraid. God has got the answer to the fears that you have and the doubts that you have. He is God. Pray these words. Lord Jesus. That's right. Bow your head and pray with me. Lord Jesus, I know that you died on the cross for me. And Lord, I am not worthy of your blessing. I'm not worthy of heaven. I don't claim to be righteous in myself. But Lord, I believe that you are sinless perfection and that in you I will be made holy because of what you have done for me. And so now, Lord, I receive you as my Savior, and I make you Lord of my life. And from this moment on, I am yours. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Now, if you prayed with me that prayer, I want to give you something. It's a little booklet that's called A New Day, and it'll tell you what you do next. So if you prayed with me, why don't you just go to the telephone. It's a toll-free number, 1-800-700-7000. Just pick up the phone. There's absolutely no financial commitment at all. There's no commitment to do anything except to say, I've received the Lord. So go to your phone right now and call in, 1-800-700-7000, and we will send you a little booklet that'll help you call A New Day. And if you don't want that, it'll be fine. If you don't even want to give us your name, that's fine. But you, by all means, need to tell somebody what you have just done. So quickly go to your phone, call in. Somebody's there waiting to talk to you who loves you. Terry?
Well, up next, your questions and honest answers. Amy says, I have 3 children with my fiance, and we've been together for 15 years. I recently moved out because he keeps saying we'll get married when we get along. How long should I stay? Stay tuned. I'm sure Pat's got some advice for that coming up. Well, time for your email. And Pat, this first one comes from Amy, who says, I have 3 children with my fiance, and we've been together for 15 years. I recently moved out because he keeps saying we'll get married when we get along. It's been on my heart for a while. How long should I give it? Also, he's struggling to believe in Jesus. Should I marry a non-believer, or should I marry for the sake of my children?
Amy, you have got some serious problems. You've been living with this guy now for 15 years. You've got 3 children with him. You've got what amounts to a common law marriage, but yet you're not talking about marriage. You really need to solemnify that union. And as far as that, you need to get married. But if he's a non-believer, you don't want to unequally yoke. You don't want to compound your problems. I tell you, it's time to pack it up and say goodbye. And it really, I'm sorry for you. You made this role, and you've got to live in it more or less. But I think you might want to leave because you've got a problem. This man does not want a real legitimate marriage, and yet he wants all the benefits of marriage. And you don't want to do that anymore. So I think the question is goodbye. All right.
This is Bill, who says, I have a question about people who say the Lord's Prayer is a prayer to be saved. Does the Lord's Prayer offer a prayer for salvation? It does ask for forgiving sins, but not accepting Jesus as Savior, right?
You're exactly right. It's not a salvation prayer. It is a prayer for those who are believers. And it's a model prayer that Jesus gave. And he's not praying for himself. He's teaching people, here's how to pray, Our Father, which art in heaven. And he's telling us this is what we're supposed to do. But no, it's not a salvation prayer. Yeah. Well, today's Power Minute is from Psalm 90. So teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So Luther added, let us contemplate death that we might be wise. That's Psalm 90. Well, tomorrow, breathtaking stories of true heroism as Israeli volunteers rescue earthquake victims in Kathmandu. Well, for Terry and all of us, this is Pat Robertson. Thank you so much for being with us. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow on the 700 Club. Bye-bye.